Hey everybody, welcome once again to our CAF Heroes of Sport. My name is Bob Babbitt, co-founder of the Challenge Athletes Foundation. Every week we get to chat with some of the most amazing challenge athletes on the planet. Today we are joined by Jordan Valentine and from CAF Idaho, Mr. Wilson Dippo. How are both of you guys doing?
Great.
So Jordan, let's start with you. What were you a ski, snowboard person growing up? Is that with those your sports?
Yeah, they were one of my sports. I actually started skiing when I was about 2.5. So I was downhill skiing since I was teeny tiny and the cute one.
Forever. Did you get into team sports as well, or primarily winter sports?
I played basketball in high school, and then when I went to college, I really started getting into more outdoor recreation. So I used to be a long distance backpacker. I did most of the PCT, big rock climber, canyoneering.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, what, 140 miles short of finishing the Pacific Crest Trail?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, just the northern point of Oregon State.
So take me back, October 2019, not that long ago. You and your dad, Jim.
Right, October 25th.
25th?
Yeah.
2019. And
yeah.
Take me through what happened.
So my dad and I were going on a helicopter ride in the Wahis, so the mountain range south of Boise. Just something we've done a lot. So I have my pilot's license as well for planes, but we were in a helicopter. He has both, or he had both rather. And that was just something we did together. So it kind of felt like a normal day. We were kind of looking at wild horses in the Wahis. Flew around a little bit on our way to Leslie Gulch, which is just this absolutely beautiful canyon in eastern Oregon. And when we were flying pretty low, there was something went wrong with the engine. The FAA who investigated it said it was pilot error, but I mean, like, I can tell you something was wrong with the helicopter. So then we were too low to do an auto recovery. So that's kind of how you would bail out if you were higher up in a helicopter. Right. We crashed, and then I ended up spending about 16 hours until they rescued me the next morning. And when they found me, I was severely hypothermic, and they were able to helicopter me out. And
Dad didn't make it?
No, he died on impact. Yeah.
Oh. So then the rehab process, and I was watching some video of you, so you were able to eventually get up and with help walk again. Talk a little bit about the rehab process, how long it took, and when you started feeling like, you know what, maybe I can get back out there again.
Yeah, so I was inpatient at Elks Neuro Rehab, which is a great facility. I was there for about 2 months, and most of that was me just sitting in bed. I wasn't able to stand until kind of towards the end of that 2 months. They had this really interesting contraption just called a standing frame, where essentially they slowly crank you up. That was interesting. And then, shortly after I was able to stand, then I was in parallel bars walking, and then, then walking with a crutch, a walker. And then eventually I moved to forearm crutches. So that was a long experience that I really had to learn patience for. Just because everything happened so slowly. I mean, there definitely was progress, week to week and even sometimes day to day. But it was just, yeah, just a mental grind to really have enough motivation to keep going, even though, you know, my goals of success one day would be, you know, walk 20 feet, you know, versus when I was walking 25 a day. What else did you want
Well,
to know?
you got to the point where you would go 2.5 miles, right?
Mhm.
And
I
about a mile,
walked.
half an hour, you know,
Mhm.
that's moving forward. When
Yeah.
being a skier and snowboarder, you probably had seen people on mono skis on the slopes over the years. What was your
Mhm.
exposure to challenged athletes skiing and snowboarding, and did that help you with getting back on the slopes?
Yeah, so I actually worked in 2018. I think that's right. Yeah, the winter season of 2018, 2019 at Jackson Hole, at the top of the mountain at Corbett's Cabin making
Yeah.
waffles. And so for Kings and Queens of Corbett's, there was a adaptive skier there that I remember seeing him in a wheelchair, you know, at the top of the mountain, 10,500 or 450 feet, and being like, whoa, what is this guy doing up here? And then I watched the event later, and, you know, then it clicked. I was like, oh, he's an adaptive athlete. And I saw him just essentially rip it right off. It was the coolest thing. It was kind of, well, it's really scary too, because it didn't sound like his suspension was good enough. So he,
Mhm.
like, you could hear it from the base of Corbett's where I was standing, him just crashing down. He didn't, I don't think he landed it, but I mean, it was fine. And seeing that was just like, wow, there is still so much that can be done, even as a
So when did
disabled
you
person.
meet Wilson and go to your first Nordic skiing and biathlon clinic?
Yeah, so that was the end of 2020. We met at a ski clinic they had in McCall. And yeah, he was the
You
coach.
liked it?
Great guy. Yeah, yeah,
Cool. Hey,
very
so
knowledgeable.
very knowledgeable. So Wilson, I was looking through your background and basically always been a winter guy, right? Obviously did some summer rafting and all the rest of that as well, but cross country skiing, skied in college, pretty much started the program in Idaho. Talk a little bit about your background in cross country skiing and what your impressions were when you first saw Jordan.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, I've kind of been a skier for most of my life. My family's background is alpine skiing, and but yeah, after the 2002 Olympic Games, decided I wanted to give cross country ski racing a try myself. And yeah, later that winter, I had the opportunity to go and watch the Paralympic Games in Salt Lake with one of my best friends who was starting skiing with me at the same time. And, you know, watching Paralympic biathlon and stuff was super inspiring. So yeah, from there, I raced through high school, raced through college, and then yeah, pretty much started coaching right after that. Coached at Bates College in Maine, and then bounced around a little bit before settling back in Boise, Idaho. Yeah, we so yeah, started working with Willie Stewart to have an adaptive component to the cross country ski program out here, and it was kind of off to the races from there.
Love it.
Yeah.
And your role is very unique because you work for both, right? For Paralympics, for Nordic, and for CAF. Talk a little bit about what your role is.
So yeah, so I met Eileen Carey, who's the director of the U.S. Paralympic Nordic team. You know, we kind of had crossed paths a couple times at various race events and things like that in the able-bodied world. But then when I started the idea of having an adaptive component for the youth program out here, I reached out to her and she was really excited about the idea and actually came out and helped us put on our first clinic. And so from there, we were just always kind of talking about how to how to be more involved and all that. So they invited me out to a handful of different training camps and things. And yeah, and so my understanding is that she was really excited by that partnership and the potential for growing it more with CAF involved. And so so CAF and U.S. Paralympic Nordic team kind of teamed up to create this position where I get to go and work with the national team, and then take the expertise that I learned at those events and everything and bring it back to development athletes here in Idaho.
And so Jordan shows up at one of the clinics, and what were your impressions?
Yeah, so right off the bat, she had ski feel, which is cool. I think that comes from that history on snow, and just being able to hop right in and just kind of have some idea of what the snow is going to do, and that was cool. And then probably one of the highlight moments from that camp was I'm trying to remember exactly what the setup was, but I think we were just trying to get off to the side of the trail, and Jordan just decided to head straight down the big hill, and so there's a little bit of fearless in her too, which is an important part of being
What I love about what you're doing is you're able to identify kids and adults at a younger age and lead them through the developmental program, where normally they would be eventually the developmental program would be looking for athletes, but you're finding them at the grassroots through CAF Idaho. I think this is going to be really successful. From your perspective, what do you like about the concept?
So I think the para team in the last handful of years has done a really excellent job of taking development athletes and giving them the resources that they need and connecting them with clubs and things like that. The hard thing for them is that they can't be all places at all times. And so here in Idaho, we get to do it just a little bit different, where we're actually reaching out into the community and giving people that opportunity to try it for the first time so that they can get excited, so that they can then get that support from the development side of things. A lot of people just don't even know that cross-country skiing is an option, or
Right.
So we've got a big group of athletes, of young kids who are kind of from the general Twin Falls area, and there's just not really cross-country skiing infrastructure out there. And so, we provide those opportunities, work with the ski area that's there to make sure that they can get, opportunities to be on snow. And in a couple of years, we're going to be seeing them racing against those Paralympic team athletes. It's going to be really fun.
I love it. Jordan, what are your goals? I mean, obviously you've just gotten into this and you've gone through a pretty major tragedy in your life. What are your goals in terms of cross country, biathlon? What are you thinking?
I'm not really sure. I think right now I'm just kind of enjoying the ride. I do think it would be fun, in a post-COVID world to travel to cool places. But other than that, I don't have a great idea of what I want from it. I'm kind of just day to day.
How has all of this just changed your approach to life? Just what you've gone through?
Ooh, sure. It sure makes me appreciative, and really makes me slow down and kind of think about the things that I do have, because I'm very, very fortunate to still be alive. And I mean, even just like you can see the high vaulted ceilings behind me, I'm also very, very privileged to just have a home right now that I'm living with my mom. And I think, like my relationship with her has definitely evolved. We were close before, but we're definitely a lot closer now because it's just kind of her and I. But yeah, I think I just slowing down is kind of the big thing.
Sure. And being out there for 16 hours, and you don't know it's going to be 16 hours, it could be forever. What was going through your mind? What were maybe a low point where you wondered, am I going to live or not?
Oh yeah, I for sure had that. I don't know if this is TMI, but yeah, I did see like a windshield fragment and considered.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I also had hemopneumothorax, so I had a very hard time breathing. In addition with just a lot of shock.
Yeah.
um,
And it's cold too, right?
yeah, so it was, I think it got down to just below freezing. But I mean, the stars were incredible. There's one thing with that. There was a really nice sun.
Oh my God. You
Uh,
got to appreciate the little things, right? When you're laying there not knowing what's next.
yeah, I remember thinking, you know, the last sunset you might ever see is probably going to be the most beautiful. And I think objectively it was a good sunset, not just the fact that I thought I was going to die.
Well, I love the fact that you're back on the snow. Was that a little cathartic for you just to be back in the snow and being back, feeling the wind in your face and going fast again?
Yeah. Oh, ugh. I have no words to describe how good that felt.
That's so cool. Hey, Wilson, from your perspective, obviously you're coaching collegiately, you're coaching high-end athletes. What have you learned from the adaptive athletes? Because it's funny when I talk to coaches who've gone from coaching basketball to wheelchair basketball, they go, "I've learned so much from these athletes." Talk a little bit about that. How have the adaptive athletes changed you as a coach?
Yeah, I think that it just reemphasizes the importance of flexibility and the importance of approaching each athlete as an individual. I think it's really easy to, especially at like a bigger program where you're coaching 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 athletes. It's like it becomes like a cookie cutter sort of situation, and the cookie cutter never really works, and it just is. You really double down on that with adaptive athletes, that if you try and take the same exact approach with every athlete, you're going to have poor results. For everything from fitting the gear to technique, and everyone's an individual. And
So one-on-one is really what it comes down to. It's
Yeah.
really every one of these athletes is his own entity.
Yeah.
Or her.
For her, exactly. So, Jordan, have you built a little community of athletes now who you've become friends with through this?
Yeah. There's a few people that I really just clicked with, which beforehand being in the hospital, there wasn't really anyone like of my relative age and injury. Not like if I were to go to Craig or something where there's just a big community. And then COVID hit, so I feel like I was kind of starved for a solid year from having cohorts and
Right.
people to communicate with.
Yeah, people to go out and ski with. So,
Yeah.
how often are you getting out? How often are you skiing?
Usually once a week, and then with the clinics, since they've been multi-day, then I've been able to get out several days in that cluster of time.
So I'm guessing you still have that 140 miles Pacific Crest Trail that are out there that someday you're going to get back there and finish that, I guess.
Yes, I am very determined.
I think all of us are going to join you when that happens, because that's going to be pretty fun to watch you finish.
You
What was that?
Oh, well, I'll have people carry my bag. You can help carry my stuff.
Okay, I'll be your Sherpa. I'm good at Wilson can be a Sherpa. We both can do that. And Wilson, and you've worked with other coaches before, I'm guessing. Talk a little bit about Wilson as a coach. What's he bring to the table for you?
I mean, expertise for sure, but he's also just very kind and very understanding. And like what he was saying, with being able to identify the individual need. I think that's really important. Like one of my friends who I met in therapy, but he was the one who told me about the McCall clinic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a big dude, quadriplegic, and like really needed a lot of kind of different approaches.
Uh-huh.
We even created the wombat ripper. It was essentially just a walker on two skis, duct
Uh-huh.
tape, beautifully. But yeah, so I think seeing that and then just seeing how adaptable he is good. It's good to know that I'm in good hands with
You're in
coaching.
good hands. Hey, thank you both for taking time to join us on Heroes of Sport. It's great to get to meet you, Jordan. I'm really anxious to follow your journey because I think there's some chance here you might end up doing a little competition, and who knows, you might get some travel in. And there's the Winter Paralympics aren't that far away, I don't think.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows where I'll be?
I love it. Jordan Valentine and Wilson Dippo have been our guests again. This is Heroes of Sport. My name is Bob Babbitt. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Bob.
Appreciate it.